Okay, this is lesson 1.2c, and I've been noticing that you guys have been struggling a little bit with your fractions when solving equations, so I've built a pretty extensive warm-up that we're going to go over that just involves fractions. So looking at this first problem, the first thing I notice is that the a, or my variable, is on this side of the line, and I'd really like to have it on the left side. So what I'm going to do before I start is I'm going to switch this stuff around. So whatever's on this side, I'm going to put over here, and then this is going to come over here. All right, so let's start out by writing a plus 4 plus 2 equals 6. Now the very first thing I want to do is I'm going to do all my adding and subtracting first, because I'm trying to get the term with the a in it all by itself. So the first thing I have to do here is subtract 2 from both sides. Let's get this guy out of the way for a minute. All right, then I'm going to have left my 2's are going to cancel because 2 minus 2 is 0. So a divided by 4 is equal to 6 minus 2, which is 4. Since a is being divided by 4, I have to do the opposite of divide by 4, which means I have to multiply both sides by 4. By doing that, these 4's are going to cancel because 4 divided by 4 is 1. So that cancels out. So a is going to be equal to 16. All right, next equation. My x, if you'll notice, is already on the left side of the equation. So I'm going to leave it there. The only thing that I need to do is make sure that this negative 6 right here goes away. I need to get rid of that negative 6 in order to get this guy by itself. So I'm going to have to do the opposite of negative, or the opposite of subtract, which is add 6. So I'm going to add 6 to both sides. That is going to make the 6's go away because that's 0, leaving my x over 4 here. Now be careful when you're adding and subtracting your positives and negatives. You guys have been making a lot of mistakes here. Negative 5 plus 6 is positive 1. So please, please, please use your calculator all the time. All right, so now I'm back to multiplying both sides by 4, which is going to make these guys cancel. So x is going to be equal to 4. Okay, last one. I notice that my n is on the left side, so I'm going to do the switcheroo again. I'm going to put n plus 5 plus 4, because that's a positive 4, equals 0. First thing I have to do is subtract 4 from both sides. Those will cancel, leaving me n divided by 5 equals negative 4. And again, the last thing I need to do is multiply both sides by 5, which those will cancel, and equals negative 20. Okay? So practice with those. You need a lot of extra help with those, I was noticing on your homework. All right, let's look at these two guys at the bottom, because they're just a little bit different. All right. Notice the difference between these two. So this one, in this problem right here, just the a is being divided by 4. In this problem right here, I have the whole denominator being divided by 3. Okay, it's a little bit of a different problem. You're going to work it a little bit differently. For example, with this one, well, actually I had to switch these around, so let's switch them around again. With this one, I had to subtract the 2 first to get the a over 4 by itself. In this problem right here, since everything is being divided by 3, all of it's being divided by 3, I'm not going to do any adding or subtracting first, because all I have going on right here is division. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides by 3, which is going to make the 3's cancel. That's going to give me v plus 9 equals 24, and then when I subtract 9 from both sides, I'm going to get v equals 15, positive 15. Again, use your calculator. All right, I notice that my x is on the left side again, so what I'm going to do is do the switcheroo. 5 plus x divided by 6 equals negative 1. So again, the whole right or left side is being divided by 6, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 6. That's going to give me 5 plus x equals negative 6. Then when I subtract 5 from both sides, again, please use your calculator if you did not get negative 11 in your head just now when you did that math. All right, so there's a little review of fractions. Let's move on to the lesson. All right, there's your notebook information. Pause and write. There's your notebook information for your lesson. Pause and write. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of a warm-up here, a little bit of an extended warm-up, just so we can review combining like terms. So here we go. Find your equal sign and draw a line. Looking on the left side of my equation, I can see that I have some like terms that I can put together, so that's going to give me 4x minus 3 equals negative 3. Trying to get the x by itself, that's my whole goal right here. I'm trying to get that one by itself, so that means I'm going to have to add 3 to both sides. What's going to happen here is I have both of these are a 3. One's positive, one's negative, so they're going to cancel. But I've got the same situation over here where they're both a 3. One's positive, one's negative, so those will also cancel. So what I've got now is I've got 4x is equal to 0. There's nothing left over there. Still not done though. I still have to solve for x, so I have to divide both sides by 4. And that is going to give me x equals 0. All right, moving on to the next one. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to draw a line down my equal sign. First thing I'm going to do is I look over here and I've got 2 like terms. Negative 2 minus 3 gives me negative 5a equals 5. Then I'm going to divide both sides by negative 5. Those will cancel, and a is going to be equal to negative 1. All right, let's do one more of those. All right, again, my x is now on my right side. I'm seeing my x over here on the right. Sorry about that. My x is over here on the right, so I'm going to switch this whole thing. So I'm going to put 1 plus x minus 1 on the left and 3 on the right. All right, on my left side of my equation, I can see that I have a couple of like terms here that I can put together. 1 minus 1 is 0. Those actually cancel out, leaving me x plus 3. Well, that was easy. Now I'm done. Okay, so that was a little bit of a warm-up. Let's get going into the distribution part. All right, so I see some parentheses, which means I have to distribute, what we call to distribute. So distributing means that if I have a number out in front of the parentheses, like I do right here, I have to multiply it to everything on the inside. So what's going to happen is this negative 3 is going to have to get multiplied to that positive 2. So watch your signs here. It's very important. I've got a negative 3 times a positive 2. That's going to give me a negative 6. But the negative 3 is also going to have to get multiplied to the positive 4p. So again, watch your signs. I've got a negative times a positive. That's going to give me a negative 12p equals 42. All right, now I'm just down to a two-step equation where I'm going to try and keep my variable on the left. So I'm going to try and keep my p's on the left and my not p's or no p's on the right. So reading my equation from left to right, I can see that this guy does not have a p, so he does not belong on this side. So I have to do the opposite of minus 6p. Let me get rid of this underline so we don't think we're dividing. All right, I'm going to do the opposite of minus 6p, which is plus 6p. Or I'm sorry, plus 6. Not the p. This one does not have a p. My bad. All right, so negative 6 plus 6 is 0. This is negative 12p right here. That negative stays with the 12, so make sure you bring the negative down with it. And then 42 plus 6 is 48. The very last thing I have to do is divide by negative 12 to make the negative 12 go away, because I want the p to be by itself. That's my goal. So p is going to be equal to negative 4. And if you really want to go back and check your answers, there's a way that you can do it. So let's talk about that for a minute. So if p is negative 4, that means if I plug in negative 4 for p, I should get 42. So let's see what happens. Negative 3 times 2 plus 4 times negative 4 should equal 42. All right, so I'm going to do what's in the parentheses first. This is going to give me negative 16. So 2 plus negative 16 is negative 14. But then I still have to multiply it by this negative 3. So negative 3 times negative 14 is positive 42. So you can go back in and plug in your answer to see if your work checks out. All right, let's try another one of those. Okay, first thing I notice is my x is on the right side, which I hate. I don't want that. So I'm going to switcheroo my left and my right sides. So I'm going to put my 4 times 1 plus 4x on the left and my negative 60 on the right. Okay, distribute. 4 times positive 1 is positive 4. Positive 4 times positive 4x is positive 16x equals negative 60. Now I'm still doing the same thing. I want everything with an x over here and everything over here should not have an x in it. So reading my equation from left to right, I can see that this guy does not belong over here. So I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides, which makes those cancel. That will leave me 16x equals positive 56. And that is going to give me, let's see, if I divide both sides by 16, that is going to give me x equals 56 divided by 16. And I think I can reduce that fraction. I'm going to start by dividing by 2, both top and bottom, so that would give me 28 over 8. I'm going to keep dividing by 2. 28 divided by 2 is 14, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. Keep going. 14 divided by 2 is 7, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So I can't really go any further than that. 7 and 2 are both as low as they can go. They're both prime numbers. So my final answer is 7 divided by 2. All right, let's try another one of those. Okay, this one's a little bit different because if you'll notice, I have this negative 4 hanging out here outside of the parentheses. So because it's outside of the parentheses, it's not going to have anything to do with this negative 4 right here. He's kind of just hanging out waiting to see what happens with the other stuff in front. All right, so let's get started with the distribution. Negative 4 times negative 3 is going to give me positive 12. Negative 4 times negative 3k, I have a negative and a negative again, so that's going to give me positive 12k. And let's not forget about this guy, he's still there waiting. Minus 56 on the right. Okay, looking at my left-hand side, I see some like terms I can combine. I have 12 minus 4, which gives me 8, plus 12k equals 56. All right, I'm pretty much done reducing. I can't combine anything else, so I'm down to where I want to get all my k's and no k's and so forth. All right, so if I'm going to follow this rule down here that I just wrote, and I can only have k's on the left, that means this guy has to go away. So I'm going to subtract 8 both sides, because this is a positive 8. If it doesn't say a negative, you assume it's positive. All right, so these are going to cancel, leaving me 12k equals 56 minus 8 is 48. I'm going to use some more space over here, so I'm going to rewrite that really quick. 12k equals 48. If I divide both sides by 12, I'm going to get k equals 4. Okay? Let's try one more. I see one with a fraction over there on the right, so let's see if we can figure this one out. All right, so the big question is, I see a negative 13 over 17 right out in front of the parentheses, so the question is, where does the negative go? Well, you can either put it with the numerator, or you can put it with the denominator. Oops, wait, back up. Or you can put it with the denominator. So 3 over negative 17. One of them's got to be negative, the other one's got to be positive. If they're both negative, then the whole fraction's positive, and that's not what that says. It says negative. So it has to go with one or the other. I typically like to choose to just put it with the numerator. So I'm going to cross this out, and I'm going to stick it up there instead. All right, so now I've got negative 3 over 17 times 4x minus 1 equals 3. So the very first thing you want to do here is get rid of that fraction. So same as we were doing in the warm-up, I'm going to multiply both sides by 17, which will get rid of this. So now I'm at negative 3 times 4x minus 1 equals 51. And now I have to distribute. Negative 3 times positive 4, that's a positive 4, is going to give me negative 12x. Negative 3 times negative 1, so I have a double negative going on there, that's going to give me a positive 3 equals 51. Then when I subtract 3 from both sides, that's going to give me negative 12x equals 48. All right, let's go up here. I've got negative 12x equals 48, just copying it down. All right, last step is to divide by negative 12, which is going to make those negative 12s cancel over here. That leaves me x equals negative 4, final answer. All right, I want you to pause the video and try these 3 problems with the fractions on your own, and then come on back and I will show you the answers when you're done. But please try them on your own, because these are the most challenging ones for you and you need to be able to do them by yourself. So write them down, try them, and then come on back. All right, so here's the answers. Go ahead and check your work and correct anything that you did wrong, and then you can go ahead and move on to homework 1.2C. Thanks for watching.